So, this episode is the Grey Sleep episode. We'll be discussing how Rocky influences our sleep,
how we manage our sleep and how it's affected work and thinking and things like that.
and communicating and socialising.
And pretty much by the end of it, we're falling asleep ourselves.
Hello, and welcome to Multiple Shenanigans, the Grey Sleep episode. I'm Lytisha.
I'm Jeanette.
So, Jeanette, how's your week been?
It's been all right. I had a bit of a knackered end of the week because I've been painting again and doing stuff, and by the end of the week, I had to realise that it was enough. And I had a couple of mornings of waking up a little bit dizzy, and I thought, yeah, let's not do this. So got lazy towards the end of the week, but I've got things done. I did a show with rhymes online. That was, yeah, interesting. We were in the Phoenix Improv Festival. You know what it was?
Phoenix, Arizona.
Phoenix, Arizona, yes. We only had 25 minutes and it seemed to go in like a second. Yeah, indeed.
Is that the first one you've done for a while?
Yeah, the first show, yeah. Did a rehearsal last week and then the show was, yeah, it was weird because they put us on like 2 o'clock in their afternoon, which was like 10 o'clock here. They wanted us on later, but that would have been 4 o'clock in the morning for us, so. And I was a little bit concerned what my neighbours thought of some of the random things I was singing on my own because I got headphones in and stuff, so I'm just every so often singing a random thing.
It's what you do.
Zoom is weird for that. Well, it's that thing again about having no response, isn't it? It's like, is that a thing? Do you like it? I don't know.
Playing to the Deadlands. Yeah.
And I was a lady who was going out with a sock.
A sock.
A sock, yes.
Yeah.
And I was trying to prove that a romance between a sock and a lady could work.
Okay. Did it go well?
No, because the other sock from the pair came back.
Oh, so their romance rekindled. So it's like the story of the washing, really. Two go in, one comes out, they're sad and lonely, they go out looking for somebody, and then the other sock appears.
Yeah. It's quite a universal story when you put it like that.
So how did the Arizonans take your thing?
We got a few little messages on the live streaming thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of that was like, has the stream stopped for you? So I watched some technical difficulties were happening, but they seem to really like it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That is the advantage of Zoom, these multinational performances that we get to do.
How's your week then?
Well, a mixed bag, I think you could say. It began quite well with the medications that I mentioned before kicking in and keeping the pain away, so that's good. Just a few more days to my MRI.
Yeah.
How exciting! The not so good thing was I've realised that I'm still not going out or not doing things, and I need to start easing myself into doing things, particularly because I'm going on holiday next week.
It's really hard though, we're not really doing much.
No, but So today I had a dentist appointment. Got there, went to the dentist, came out and thought, now I will nip into the shop like a normal person would do, instead of planning the shop as being my whole day out for like 3 days. That would be my adventure within 3 days. So then I went into the shop to get some breakfast cereal to go with the milk, because I had some milk and no breakfast cereal now. Now I'm a milk purchaser. And then I ran out of breakfast cereal. I didn't know what to do with this milk, so I thought I need to purchase more breakfast cereal. That's the thing to do. So I went and got some breakfast cereal. I got to the till and I went in my bag. I didn't have my cards to pay with. So that was a little bit unfortunate. And as I was rummaging around, I was like, well, why aren't they there? They should be there. They're always there. I keep them there. That's where they go. Except when you used your other bag. They were in the other bag, the one that I used on my other expedition out this week when I went to the shop round the corner, and I used my crossbody bag so that I'd have two hands in case I fell over. Today I had my handbag, which I would normally take, and inside it were no cards. And then I found an old card at the bottom. I tried it really casually at the till, trying to, look like that was what I meant all along. Card said no.
Ah.
Said no. So then I was like, oh, I could just cry. That seemed like the sensible thing to do. And I was about to do that when I suddenly remembered in my secret pocket I had an emergency tenner. I thought, oh, hope it's there.
Wow!
Hope it's there. And it was there!
Yes.
So yay! The day was saved. And I came home. I walked home with my shopping, well, my breakfast cereal and a bar of chocolate because it was just essentials. And I got home and I was feeling all pleased with myself, but I was actually really, really knackered. And it was time for my next dose of tablet. So I think the combination of having gone out and done a thing and tablet being ready, tablet time. So I was really knackered. So I took the tablet, set the alarm for this, laid down on the sofa to just relax. And as I was laid down, my cat came and sat along me here,
Oh,
because I'd been out of the house for an hour and a half and she was obviously a little bit like, what's going on? So she was all cozy, and my friend was messaging me and I was messaging back, and I just sent him a picture of us being all cozy and her being snuggled in and me being really knackered and about to have a sleep. And then I dropped the phone. So the phone fell on the cat panicked and leapt away, which is quite understandable when somebody, hurls a lump of plastic at you. Unfortunately, when she did so, I don't know if you can see this, she caught my nose
no.
here and here.
Oh, yeah, I can
Then
see.
I had blood everywhere. And I was like, oh no! I'm downstairs. Everything I need is upstairs. I better take the phone. So I ran upstairs. Lots of cold flannels, wet flannels, thinking, yeah, when you get tired, that's when things go wrong, isn't that really? So I'd like to explain that although today's episode is Grey Sleep, because I was having a sleep earlier, I'm wearing a dress with grey in it, but not the grey top I'd planned to wear, because I just didn't want to take something over my head in case I set the blood off again. Does your grey top have some significance for you today?
It's my Rocky t-shirt. I really like the film Rocky. I like all of them, even the ones people think rubbish.
See, I could have been method acting for that if I'd taken my top off and set the splurting off
Yeah,
again.
you could have done like a little.
My Rocky action.
It was a few years ago, but I accidentally watched Rocky on telly, and I didn't realise how good it genuinely is. And I also didn't realise how he'd written it, and really, it's a really good story of how he wrote it, and really,
Sylvester Stallone wrote it.
he wrote it.
Okay.
It's a really good script, and everybody was like really after it. This was before he was famous, obviously, and he was adamant that he wouldn't let them have it unless he could be Rocky. And he sold his dog and everything, and then bought it back again.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a really cool story, and he went up in my estimation no end.
because he had that self-belief in his art.
Yeah, and it's a genuinely good film, and I hadn't realised.
So about this sleepiness then,
Oh, yeah.
how do you find your sleep is affected by MS?
Let's just deal with last week. I'd done an amount of things, did a bit of decorating, even though I was pacing myself, I was doing a thing every day. So, like I say, by the end of the week, I slept hours and hours over the weekend. Really did.
What do you mean by hours and hours, just for people that don't really know?
I slept like 15 hours, I think, or something like successive nights.
They say 8 hours is an average amount, so basically double.
Double sleep.
Yeah, yeah.
Overall, often have to have an afternoon nap,
Mm-hmm.
and every few days have to just lie in for ages. Um, take pills for fatigue.
They're working, you're having it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how much they do work. I don't know. I'm addicted. No, I'm not. I don't know how to. I daren't stop them. Yeah, that's true. I daren't stop them because otherwise.
Oh.
I don't know. I did have some different ones at one point which were amazing. But they stopped allowing you to have them. Probably because they were too good.
I wonder what they were called. Were they called cocaine or something like that?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Oh yeah.
damn it. And I was selling it to all my friends on the side as well. I do find that the pills for fatigue do make me have crazy dreams. Yeah. At first, I was like, oh, I don't know, they were quite not not violent, but
Sort of Rocky style.
rocky style too. Yeah, very active. But yeah, you just need a bit more, don't you? You need a bit more sleep.
Sleep. Yeah, I think days are not long enough myself. Yeah. I mean, when I'm quite well, I will have 10 hours, 12 hours most nights, and often a little nap in the afternoon. When I was working in an office, so I was theoretically had a 9 to 5, but I had a 10 till 6, because there's no way I got there. Well, it was 10:30 before I got there most days, to be honest. Um, and then as soon as I got in the door, like 6 o'clock seemed to be good sleep time, and sometimes I had a van, so if I couldn't drive, I would just go in the back and have my sleep wherever I was,
The fan sounds so cool.
and then and then when I was ready, I could drive home, or even if it was like a 10-minute drive, I just couldn't do it because it was sleep time, and when it's sleep time, it's just like Sparko sleep time. Then after my sleep, then I'd be okay to function for a bit more, and then I'd always perk up towards about 10 o'clock at night. I'm definitely a night owl, and then once I lay down, then that's it, asleep again for 12 hours, 10, 12 hours again. So yeah, but more recently, with the world as it is, and being self-employed part-time, and I haven't had to do the laying in, because I used to work 4 days a week, and that was because the fifth day I would just be more or less asleep or laying in bed, laying in resting. At least the fifth day, if not the fifth and sixth day. But now I find because I'm more able to work my own hours, if I want to sleep late, I just sleep late and don't worry about it, and then get on with things when I'm awake, which really, really helps. It's really helped me not feel stressed about waking up.
Yeah,
And I mean, this morning, at the moment, obviously, I'm taking these meds at the minute, which is supposed to be every 8 hours regularly. So I've got alarms set for a before to bed one and an alarm set for as soon as you wake to wake me up to take it one. Because if I wait till I wake up, it's too late and the pain started again.
I
Um, yeah, but so this last fortnight has not been normal. But in the before, not in the before times, but in the before this time times, before this pain, as opposed to before the before times before COVID. Um, yeah, I wouldn't, and I'd wake up when the alarm goes to sort of 40% consciousness, and then take some time to come to full consciousness to be able to get up. And there's no, you can't rush it, because then you get out of bed and drop everything and fall over and everything goes wrong and you have to go back to bed. So I've learnt there's no point rushing these things.
I'm quite good at getting up straight away, actually. That's one thing that I'm quite good at. Seem to be fresh. Yeah. But it's interesting because I was working 5 days a week and a morning off, because it's like the continual getting up at a specific time that's difficult, isn't it? And then it got to the point where I couldn't do that, and I asked the job that was in. I said, "Can I have that half day just off, because I can't do this?" And they were like, "No." So
Adjustments when you're trying to explain that you need to sleep are harder for people to see than, say, you need your chair adjusting or something. They can seem to cope with that, but
maybe it was part time as well. But it's one of those where they just give you a really long lunch hour and put funny hours, so you're practically there all the time.
yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I found my employer, I was quite lucky with the employer I had, because I started that job after my MS diagnosis, and I said I can only work 4 days a week and I can't start before 10. But there was a change of management not long before I left, and they didn't like the fact that I seemed to work different hours to everybody else. So even though I was competently doing the job, I was doing it between like 10:30 and 6 or 6:30 instead of 9 and 5. And although there was flexi time only went up to 10, and sometimes I'd be there at 10:30. But this had been my prior arrangement. So they said, "Oh, you have to go to doctor, a work doctor, occupational doctor. What are they called?
Occupational therapist?
No, occupational health." So they sent me to occupational health, and they sent me to the doctor, the occupational health doctor. So I went along to the occupational health doctor. Well, first of all, they made my appointment for 9 o'clock in the morning. So I had to ring up and say, "I'm sorry, I can't do that." And the occupational health doctor was really good and spoke to me, listened to me, did a few tests and things, and said, "I'm going to pull your employer up on a couple of things, because a couple of things they've asked me are not things that they can ask me under the Discrimination Act." I was like, "Oh, okay, that's really interesting, because I didn't know that." So he said, "I'm going to answer the questions that I can answer, and if there's any, obviously they'll come back to me if there's any issues with it." So basically, there's written a letter saying, "We think Lytisha should be at work at 9 o'clock, and why is she unable to do that?" As opposed to, "Are there any..." Yeah. Anyway, so occupational health agreed with me that I was able to work as long as I could have my hours adjusted to work in with my sleep pattern. And then, as I explained, I used to sleep as soon as I got home from work for a few hours, and then I'd be awake for a few hours a bit later. Then somebody said, I think it was somebody from the same new team, said, well, how come you can be on Facebook at 11 o'clock at night, but you can't be here in the morning? I was like, well, because I was asleep between 4 and 9. So
and
I had 3
none
hours.
of your business.
Yeah, exactly. It's none of your business. So, interesting.
Yeah.
But I've always been a good sleeper. All my life, though, I've always been very good at sleeping. Yeah. I know some people really struggle with the opposite, insomnia, with their MS, don't they? They
Yeah.
can't sleep.
Yeah, I've been quite good in
I'm
that.
so glad I'm not one of those. Yeah.
No, me neither, really. Apart from this Monday, because I've had so much sleep over the weekend, I was a bit like, ah. But that's unusual. But yeah, it's really hard to get people at work and stuff to understand. It's right painful. I don't want to dob them in, but basically my job was giving people advice about, or I can't even say it without making who it was. Just, yeah,
It was an advice service.
advice service. And so you would tell people about how to go to ACAS and the work-based disputes and stuff like that. And for them to turn around and then do this, it was like, you were joking. You're seriously telling me that you can't accommodate this need. I remember telling them at the hospital, and they were like, what? That's discrimination. What are you talking? I was like, yeah. You're stuck with who's going to take this organisation, who are doing a lot of good in many ways.
Yeah. And it's the same classic thing with all things. When you're the one that's knackered and down, it's really hard to get the help that you want, that you need. And they redesigned the job. That was what happened where I was. They redesigned the job so it couldn't be done in the times that I was doing. It was the same job that I've been doing there for umpteen years before, but anyway, that's beside the point. But what I was saying positively is that I find being self-employed part-time and just being able to completely set my own hours. When my brain's working, I sit down and I work, and if I have projects that working with other people, they're short-term projects, so I can cope with the hours for that short period, and then I know I'll have a rest period afterwards. So that works for me. Doesn't work for everybody, but it works for me.
Yeah, that's what you have to do. You just have to sleep when you can, and sometimes you just have to sleep. The worst thing that I've started doing recently is, when you're falling asleep, any slight noise, I'll be like, ah! Which is a little bit unfortunate for Alex, who will be next to me most of the time.
Yeah.
He only has to,
That breathing thing. He's been doing that breathing thing again, and you're shouting at him.
ah! And then the other day, I was pretty sure I heard somebody. I was like, I'm pretty sure this burglar wasn't. It was just because I'm in
I
that
get that sometimes.
crazy, slightly dream state where just a normal noise is definitely somebody walking down the hall.
I live in quite a busy area, but I'm in a house, and sometimes I'm convinced there's somebody. So I often get up and put the video on my phone, and go like stomping around my house at night to let them know that I'm coming, so they'll go out of the way because I don't want to meet them. There's never anybody there. Never.
Having cats doesn't help.
Well,
Noisy.
my old cat used to she liked sleeping a lot. We got on really well. But if I woke up and thought that there was something there, I'd look at her and she'd be looking at me like, I think there's something there. Like, well, you go and look. Well, no, you go and look.
Yeah, that's where dogs do kind of. You're better off with dogs in that one.
That saying that, when my brother lived at my mum's, he had an English Bull Terrier, which is slightly bigger, and it was quite a large one as well. So they're bigger than a Staffy, but they don't have the same temperament. They're quite soft, but they look mean, but they're not. They're that kind of dog. And she also had a cat, an old cat, Izzy. And one time my mum had managed to lock herself out, so she was trying to put her hand through the letterbox. The cat attacked it. And she got in, and she ended up because she had to get a neighbour to come and somehow break in. And the cat was attacking the neighbour all the time. The dog, asleep by the door, just not bothered. So, you know, sometimes an attack cat is better than a sleeping dog.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
what's the word? It's just scrappy.
Yeah. A bit like Prince that was out there.
Yeah, I've got a big scratch down my arm at the moment.
Cat scratch.
Yeah, I know, it's not that bad.
Are your cats quite clawy, or are they
Not
do they
really.
deliberately scratch, or are they accidental scratch for being
Accidental,
indoors?
really.
Yeah. Mine's a very accidental. She never puts her claws in at all. Unless it's
One is like it gets a bit overexcited and then will bite your feet. Oh,
slightly gone off topic here.
haven't we? We're too tired to talk about sleep.
I've got one more thing about my cat and sleep. The cat that I live with now, Dixie, she's quite a small cat, and I've got a king size bed. Now, every night I go to sleep in the middle of my bed, and she manages to push me off the bed most nights. Like I'm hanging off the bed, and I literally have to get up and go around and get on the other side. She's a small cat. It's ridiculous, but she's got this like way of not snuggling in, but burrowing under you. So you kind of move away, and then she burrows under, and then you move away. And We've had to have words. She's got her own bed now at the end of the bed.
Oh, and she uses it.
She uses it until I'm asleep. Then at some point, I find myself on the edge of the bed, so she's obviously coming. It's a king size bed. It's crazy.
I want it all. I just want it all.
When I went travelling with a friend, I had I had ME at the time, but it was possibly MS, but early symptoms of it. But I can sleep anywhere at any time, as we've discussed. But when I wake up, I don't have a very welcoming face as I wake, shall we say. And we were on a train in China, and we'd met two Australians, and they had sleeping in China, the People's Republic of China. The Democratic People's Republic of China at the time had 5 classes of rail travel. So there was soft sleeper, hard sleeper, soft seats, hard sleep, and cattle. Well, it wasn't called cattle, but it was like,
Yeah.
yeah. So we had soft seats, but the Australians had hard beds because they paid extra for hard beds. Yeah. And so we'd gone along to talk to them, and I'd just fallen asleep on this bunk where I was. And the guy whose bunk it was, this Chinese guy, had returned, and they were trying to wake me up to get me off of this poor guy's bed. And I just woke up with this look of, I wasn't really awake, just. And this man was apologising to me because I was sleeping on his bed from the look that I was giving him. I was like giving him a complete death stare. I was so embarrassed once I'd woken up because I realised what I'd done. Then I was apologising to him. He was apologising to me. And I'd been asleep on his bed. Well, I shouldn't have been there. I shouldn't have been there. Yeah. And another time when I was travelling, I'm really not very good at being woken up. This is the moral of the story. Don't
Yeah.
wake me up. let sleeping tissues lie. We were in Salzburg, and I was travelling with two friends at that point, and this was quite a few years earlier, and they realised that when I was going to sleep, I was going to sleep. So what they used to do is put the backpacks down and put me on top of them, and then they'd wander off without. We were interrailing, so they weren't carrying all their stuff around. And then they'd come back and collect me, and everything was fine. Only I'd gone to sleep on them in the luggage compartment in Salzburg train station, which was where the lockers were. So I'd just gone to sleep there, it was fine. And just as they were coming back, there was a guy who was not very well, I think you could say. He was battering all the lockers, and he had a knife, and he was stabbing things.
Hi.
Then he came shouting at me, but I'd just woken up. So I just looked at him and went, "What?" And this guy with his knife, he was like, and then my friends, he like backed off of me. I don't know why, but obviously it was that beautiful morning face that I had. And my friends just grabbed me and dragged me out of that point and said, "What were you doing?" I went, "Woke me up." Yeah, not very good at being woken up. I mean, after I'm awake, it's fine. It's that in-between bit, really.
Yeah, no, I'm all right with that. I go off to sleep very quickly, but I wake up all right. But I do tend to fall asleep. I've always been like that though. Like I'd fall asleep in nightclubs and stuff. And
Oh, yeah. I did it on the top of the speakers at Notting Hill for Carnival.
God.
I'm just going to have a little sleep now. Like, what is that woman doing on top of the speakers? These speakers are like 10 foot high and 5 foot wide.
Yeah, people don't like it though, do they? They're like, "You've got to leave now."
I
Yeah,
was out of the way. I thought I'd be out. I wouldn't get trodden on. I'd be out of the way.
doesn't go
We were
down.
worried. You're not supposed to be sleeping on top of those things.
No, it's not in the spirit of carnival.
Yeah, but after I'd woken up, I could carry on carnivaling, you see. I thought it was proper carnival spirit.
Yeah, you're just living through it.
Yeah.
Oh,
And that used to be the bonus, I think, when you get like 2 or 3 days, the price of one.
you've got a yawn coming perfectly for the sleepish.
But when you have lots of naps in a day, you get like 2 or 3 days the price of one.
It is good, isn't it? Yeah, that is the good thing about needing to nap, because you can't not do it when you need to do it.
No.
Or even, I was so tired on Saturday before we did this thing. We did a rehearsal and I hadn't had enough to eat, and I was just terrible. I lost the plot. Somebody was asking me things and I was just like, that's what happens, isn't it? You just can't communicate, or your mind just doesn't work in any way. But then I was like, I've just got to go, have some food, sit quietly for a moment, and then I could kind of get myself back together. And it's, yikes, it's not good.
I think it makes such a difference if you're with people that understand. Even if they don't understand exactly what it feels like, they know that you do that and that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise I don't know what people think. Like, are you just making it up, or?
Yeah, but that tiredness where you can't speak and you can't function, you get really clumsy and you fall over and everything goes wrong, and you drop phones on the cat and they cut your face open.
Like the domino effect of chaos.
So I think that's all we can manage before we fall asleep. So I've been Lytisha.
I've been Jeanette.
Night.
Bye.
Sleep well.